1 year ago, Bubba Wallace did something at Indianapolis that changed the entire trajectory of his career. Now he's walking back into that same speedway, defending a crown that almost nobody expected him to win. And this time, the rules of the game have completely flipped on him. What happens when the moment that saved a driver's season no longer works the same way? We're about to find out. Bubba Wallace is heading back to Indianapolis Motor Speedway as the defending champion of the Brickyard 400. Last year, he held off Larson in a brutal 2-overtime finish, winning by less than a quarter of a second. That victory wasn't just a trophy. It was his third career Cup Series win, and the first one that came during the regular season, which meant it locked him into the playoffs before the field even finished shaking out. This year, that safety net is gone. NASCAR has brought back the chase format, meaning a win at Indy no longer guarantees a playoff spot the way it used to. Same track, same driver, completely different stakes. To understand why this moment matters so much, you have to understand what Indianapolis has meant to Bubba Wallace's career. This wasn't just another checkered flag, it was validation. For years, Wallace has carried a spotlight that most drivers never have to deal with. Constant scrutiny, constant noise, constant pressure to prove he belongs at the top level of this sport. A win at one of NASCAR's most historic and demanding venues silenced a lot of that noise, at least for a while. And it wasn't just a professional milestone, it was personal. His son, not even a year old at the time, was right there with him near the yard of bricks in one of the most human, unscripted moments NASCAR has produced in recent memory. But strip away the emotion and here's the real story. That win fundamentally changed how Wallace approached the second half of last season. Once he knew his playoff spot was locked in, the pressure of chasing points disappeared. He could race free. He could take risks. He could focus purely on performance instead of survival. That freedom is exactly what's on the line this year. Here's where this gets interesting from a strategic standpoint. Under the old format, a win was almost a cheat code. Get to victory lane once during the regular season, and suddenly the entire math of your season simplifies. You're not fighting for points every single week. You're managing risk, picking your spots, racing with a clear head. Now, with the chase format back in play, that safety net is gone. A win at Indianapolis this weekend wouldn't carry the same guarantee it did in 2025. Wallace could go out, execute a nearly identical performance to last year, take the checkered flag, and still not have the same peace of mind heading into the back half of the season. That's a massive shift in psychology, not just standings. Think about what that does to a driver's approach. Last year, Wallace could lean into aggressive, high-risk racing in overtime because the outcome, win or lose, wasn't going to define his entire season. This year, every close call, every overtime restart, every aggressive pass carries heavier weight because the margin for error in the standings is tighter across the board. Is chasing another Brickyard win still the right move? Absolutely. This is still one of the most prestigious trophies in the sport, and confidence is currency in racing. But the calculus behind how a team approaches Sunday is fundamentally different from 12 months ago. The bigger question is whether Wallace and his team can recreate the same execution under a different pressure system. Winning once at a track is impressive. Winning there again under different playoff stakes with every rival gunning to knock the champion off the mountain, that's a different kind of test entirely. Expect a split reaction heading into race weekend. Diehard Wallace supporters are going to frame this as full circle redemption, a chance to prove last year wasn't a fluke, wasn't circumstantial, and wasn't just a product of a rules format that no longer exists. Skeptics and rival fan bases, on the other hand, will be watching closely to see if Wallace can still deliver when the safety net of an automatic playoff berth is stripped away. There's a segment of the NASCAR world that will argue his 2025 breakthrough was more about opportunity than dominance, and this weekend becomes the perfect stage to settle that argument one way or another. Either way, all eyes are on Indianapolis. Let's talk about how this could actually play out. Best case scenario, Wallace channels the exact same composure that got him through 2 overtimes last year, defends his Brickyard crown, and proves that his 2025 breakthrough was the start of a new era for him, not a one-off. A repeat win here doesn't just extend his trophy case, it silences doubters for good and establishes him as a legitimate championship threat heading into the playoff push. Worst case scenario, the pressure of racing without a guaranteed playoff cushion changes his approach just enough to cost him. Maybe he plays it safer than he did last year. Maybe a rival exploits that hesitation in overtime. If Wallace comes up short here, critics will immediately point to the format change as proof that last year's win was as much about circumstance as it was about skill. The margin between those two outcomes might come down to a single restart. So here's the real question heading into Sunday. Was Bubba Wallace's Brickyard win last year a turning point in his career, or a moment that the old playoff format made bigger than it actually was? Drop your prediction in the comments. Are we watching a driver about to prove he belongs at the top, or a defending champion who's about to find out how much that old safety net actually meant? If you're locked in for NASCAR coverage that actually breaks down the strategy behind the storylines, make sure you're subscribed to SportsWire USA, because Brickyard Weekend is about to get very interesting.